Okay, so are you ready to have your mind blown? Because today we are going deep on the Mandela effect.
Oh, yeah,
It's one of those things that makes you question like everything you thought you knew about reality, right?
totally.
Have you ever had that feeling like you were so sure about a memory and then later you find out it was completely wrong?
All the time.
It happens to all of us, and the Mandela effect is all about those shared false memories that so many people have, and we are going to look at some of the most famous examples and see if we can maybe figure out what is going on, like what is the explanation for this stuff.
I think what's so interesting to me about the Mandela effect is how it just shows how weird human memory can be
Yeah.
and how much we are influenced by like what other people remember and what we see online.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how much of what we think is real is actually just like our own interpretation of things based on our own experiences.
That's so true, and it's scary too a little bit.
It is.
We've got a bunch of YouTube videos here that dive into all these classic examples. You know, everything from like misremembered movie quotes to like events that never happened.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin with this?
Well, I think a good place to start is with the case that actually gave the Mandela effect its name, Nelson Mandela's death.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where things get really interesting and kind of unsettling because a lot of people, I mean, a significant amount of people vividly remember Mandela dying in prison way before he actually did, like
Yeah.
decades before.
Yeah.
They remember like news coverage and funerals and even like feeling really sad about it.
It's so weird, right? But he didn't die in prison. He was released in 1990 and lived until 2013.
Exactly. It's a huge difference and it's hard to explain. And that's why it's become such a big example of the Mandela effect. And this is kind of where all the talk about alternate realities and glitches in the Matrix started.
It really does make you wonder, like, are we living in a simulation? Is there something else going on that we don't understand?
Right, exactly. And I think before we go too far down that rabbit hole, though,
Yeah.
it might be good to look at some examples that are maybe a little more relatable, like things from pop culture that might resonate more with people.
Yeah, let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one that always gets me is the Berenstain Bears, or is it the Berenstain Bears?
Ah, yes.
I swear I grew up reading the Berenstain Bears with an E.
Well, officially, it's Berenstain with an A,
What?
but you're not alone. So many people remember it with an E. And these little inconsistencies are what make the Mandela effect so fascinating.
Right.
And one possible explanation for this and other similar examples is something called schema theory.
Okay.
And basically, it's the idea that our brains like to organize information into these mental frameworks called schemas to help us understand the world. And sometimes we fill in the gaps in our memories with what we think should be there based on these schemas, even if it's not totally accurate.
So, like, because celatine is a more common ending for names, our brains kind of just assumed that's how it was spelled, even though it wasn't. That's so crazy.
Yeah, our brains are trying to be helpful, but they end up messing with our memories.
Right, but it's like, even though I know it's Berenstain, those memories of Berenstain feel so real. Like, I can picture the books
Yeah.
with the E.
I know, and that's the thing about the Mandela effect. It really challenges what we believe to be true.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
how much can we trust our own memories?
Exactly. And it's not just about spelling. It's like
Yeah.
bigger things, too, like movie quotes, for example.
Oh, yeah, tons of them.
Okay, think about Darth Vader in Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
The iconic line, "Luke, I am your father." Everyone knows that line.
Right.
But guess what? That is not the actual line.
Wow.
He actually says, "No, I am your father."
Oh, my God.
Such a small difference, but it throws people off. And you see that misquote everywhere
Oh, no.
on T-shirts and memes, and people just say it wrong all the time.
It's true.
It's almost like the wrong version has become more real than the actual line from the movie.
Exactly.
So crazy. And speaking of things being wrong, how about Curious George?
Remember Curious George, the little monkey?
Yeah.
I vividly remember him having a tail, like swinging through the jungle with his tail.
Interesting.
But guess what?
What?
He never had a tail.
No way.
I know.
I always pictured him with a tail, too.
It's a detail that you think you would remember.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
But for some reason, so many people have this false memory of him having a tail.
It's bizarre.
Okay, so we've got spelling errors, we've got misremembered movie lines, we've got monkeys missing tails.
Yeah.
What about something that goes beyond just like a detail?
Okay.
Like something that feels like a whole chunk of reality is missing. Have you heard about the Sinbad Genie movie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me you've heard about this.
This one is like the poster child for the Mandela effect. It's
No.
so weird.
Okay, so thousands of people vividly remember a movie from the 90s
Uh,
starring Sinbad as a genie.
yes.
And they often call it Shazam.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Right.
There is no record of this movie ever existing.
It's crazy. It's so weird, right? But it gets even weirder. There was a movie called Kazam starring Shaquille O'Neal as a genie.
Right.
So maybe some people are getting those two mixed up.
Yeah, that's possible.
But there are people who swear they saw both movies, and they describe very specific details about the Sinbad version that don't match up with Kazam at all.
It's so strange.
And to make things even weirder, Sinbad himself has acknowledged this whole false memory thing. Like, he's joked about it. He's appeared in skits wearing genie costumes. There are even prank videos online that pretend to show, like, lost footage from this Shazam movie.
Yeah, I've seen those.
It's like, is he just playing along with a big joke, or does he actually remember this movie that never happened? It makes you question, like, how powerful suggestion is.
Right.
And how something that maybe started as a simple misunderstanding can turn into this widespread false memory.
Especially with the internet. It's like once something's out there, it just keeps spreading.
It's like it takes on a life of its own.
Exactly. People start believing even more.
It's like a snowball effect.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know what to believe anymore.
Right. Like, what is real, what isn't?
It's a mystery for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does make you think, like, what's going on here?
So as we go deeper into this Mandela effect thing, some of the explanations get even crazier. Like, have you heard about the connection to quantum physics?
Oh, yeah.
Like the idea that maybe this isn't just a simple memory glitch.
Right, like maybe there's something more scientific going on.
Exactly.
Quantum realm is definitely an interesting place to explore.
Okay, but I have to admit, quantum physics is not really my strong suit. Can you explain it like I'm 5?
Okay, so imagine the universe as like this giant network of possibilities.
Okay.
And they're all happening at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And within this network, there might be multiple versions of reality,
Okay.
each one with its own unique events and details.
So like different timelines.
Yeah, exactly. And quantum physics suggests that these different realities could actually interact with each other
What?
or even overlap.
Whoa, okay, so are we saying that these other realities with their slightly different details could be like bleeding into our own reality?
It's a possibility.
And that's what's causing these Mandela effect discrepancies.
Right. It's like little pieces of those other realities are kind of leaking through.
That is mind-blowing.
And there's some physicists like Dr. Mikio Kaku.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
He's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And he suggested that these quantum principles that govern the behavior of tiny particles could actually have an impact on the way we experience reality on a much larger scale.
Okay, that's a lot to process, but it's fascinating.
It is.
But is there any actual evidence to back this up?
Well, there have been some studies using quantum computers
Okay.
to analyze patterns in Mandela effect cases. And they found a really weird correlation between reported memory distortions and major technological and cultural shifts.
Okay, when were these shifts?
Mostly in the late 1990s and early 2010s.
That's around the time the internet really exploded.
Exactly.
And we started consuming information in a whole new way.
Right.
So maybe all that new technology somehow messed with our collective memory.
Maybe. Or maybe it actually triggers some kind of shift in reality itself.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory.
I know, it's wild.
So we've got quantum physics as one possible explanation.
Yeah.
But, we can't talk about the Mandela effect without mentioning the conspiracy theory.
Oh, yes, of course, the conspiracy theorists.
And when it comes to weird stuff happening, CERN is always involved.
Always.
So what's the deal with CERN and the Mandela effect?
Well, the theory is that the experiments they're doing at CERN, specifically with the Large Hadron Collider.
That's the one where they smash particles together at crazy speeds, right?
Yeah, that's the one. And some people believe that these experiments could be causing some unintended consequences.
Like what?
Like rips in the fabric of space-time.
Whoa.
Or even accidental shifts to alternate realities.
So they're basically saying that CERN is messing with the very structure of reality.
That's the gist of it.
Okay, I have to admit that's both terrifying and kind of awesome.
Right. It's like something out of a movie.
It's like CERN accidentally turned our world into Stranger Things.
Yeah, exactly. And it plays into all our fears about technology and the unknown.
But is there any truth to it?
Well, CERN has denied these claims.
Okay.
They say that their experiments are perfectly safe and there's no danger of them ripping apart the universe.
Well, that's good to know, I guess.
Right.
Even if CERN isn't actually causing these reality shifts, the fact that so many people believe it says something about us.
Yeah, like what?
I think it shows how fascinated we are by the unknown
Right.
and how desperately we want to find explanations for things that seem impossible or unexplainable.
And sometimes those explanations involve government conspiracies and secret experiments.
It's more exciting that way.
It's definitely more interesting than just admitting we don't know what's going on.
So we've got quantum physics, we've got CERN. What about the simulation hypothesis?
Ah, yes, the classic simulation hypothesis.
The idea that we're all just living in a giant computer simulation.
Right, like a video game.
And the Mandela effect definitely adds fuel to that fire, right?
Oh, yeah, because if we are living in a simulation, then these inconsistencies and glitches in our memories could be explained by errors in the code.
Right, so maybe the programmers forgot to add Curious George's tail.
Or they decided to change the spelling of Berenstain just to mess with us.
It's like they're playing a cosmic prank on humanity.
Maybe they're just having some fun with their little simulation.
It's a fun thought experiment for sure. But wouldn't a civilization advanced enough to create a simulation like this be able to fix those glitches pretty quickly?
You would think so.
Maybe they're intentional, like part of some grand experiment.
Or maybe we're giving those hypothetical programmers a bit too much credit.
Yeah, maybe our brains are just doing what they do best, making things up.
Filling in the gaps with whatever seems to fit.
Right, because as amazing as our brains are,
Yeah.
they're not perfect.
Not even close.
So let's talk about the psychology of memory and how our brains can sometimes lead us astray.
Yeah, because it's important to remember that our brains aren't like video recorders.
Right.
They don't capture every detail perfectly.
They're more like messy filing cabinets.
Exactly. Constantly reorganizing things, misplacing files.
So even though those Mandela effect memories feel so real, so vivid, they might just be our brains playing tricks on us.
They very well could be.
But how does that happen?
Well, there are a few things at play here.
Okay.
First, there's the power of suggestion.
Okay.
Like if you hear someone else's misremembered account of an event, or even if someone asks you a leading question, it can actually change your own memory of that event.
So like my memory is being influenced by what other people say.
Exactly. It's like your brain is trying to be helpful by filling in the gaps.
Even if it's filling in the gaps with the wrong information.
Right. And then there's misinformation,
Okay.
which is a huge problem these days with the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Because false information can spread so quickly and so easily.
And it's hard to know what to believe.
Exactly. And if you're repeatedly exposed to inaccurate information, especially from sources you trust, it can actually become part of your memory, even if it contradicts your original experience.
And it's like our brains are wired to believe things that confirm our existing beliefs.
Yeah, and to make things even more complicated, memories aren't stored in our brains like files on a computer. They're spread out across networks of neurons.
Okay.
And every time we recall a memory, we're basically reconstructing it.
So every time I remember something, I'm actually changing it a little bit.
In a way, yes.
It's like a game of telephone with my own brain.
That's a good analogy. And when you add in the influence of shared experiences and social reinforcement, those slightly altered memories can become even more ingrained, especially when we find other people who share those same false memories.
It's like finding a community of people who validate your weird memories.
Exactly. And that validation can make it even harder to question those memories.
So we've got quantum physics, CERN conspiracies, the fallibility of human memory. Are there any other explanations for the Mandela effect?
I mean, there are tons of theories out there.
Okay.
Some more plausible than others, but I think we've covered some of the biggest ones.
Right. So where does this leave us? Like, what are we supposed to do with all this information about the Mandela effect, especially when there's no easy answer?
Well, I think the biggest thing to take away from all this is that we need to be humble.
Humble.
Yeah, like the Mandela effect shows us that our memories aren't perfect and that we don't always have all the answers and that maybe we need to be more open to the possibility that we could be wrong about things.
Even things we're like super sure about.
Exactly.
Okay, so don't take anything for granted.
Right.
Including your own memories. It's a good reminder that we don't know everything, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think it makes things more interesting, you know.
It does kind of keep things exciting. Like there's still so much to discover and learn and figure out.
Exactly. And maybe instead of being scared of the unknown, we can embrace the mystery of it all.
Yeah, I like that.
The Mandela effect is definitely kind of unsettling, but it can also be really thought-provoking.
Totally. It makes you think about the universe and consciousness and all these big questions.
Right.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, there's one more thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Have you heard of the idea of residue?
Oh, yeah.
This is where things get really weird.
Yeah, this is for the diehard Mandela effect believers.
Okay, so what is residue?
It's basically the idea that there's evidence left behind from these alternate realities.
Evidence.
Like little clues that those other realities existed or maybe still exist.
What kind of evidence?
People point to things like misspellings on old merchandise or differences in historical photos or glitches in digital media.
So, like, finding a Berenstain Bears book with an E.
Exactly.
Even though we know it's Berenstain with an A.
Or seeing a picture of the Monopoly man with a monocle.
The Monopoly man with a monocle. I don't remember that.
Right, but some people claim to have seen it. It's like these little pieces of other timelines are trying to break through.
Whoa, it's like those memories are haunting us.
Yeah, leaving behind these weird traces.
Okay, but how do we know if this residue is real or if it's just like a misprint or a doctored photo?
That's the tough part, right? Because a lot of these inconsistencies can be explained away pretty easily.
Okay.
But then there are those cases that are harder to dismiss.
Like the Sinbad Genie movie?
Exactly. Some people claim they remember seeing trailers and posters for that movie.
A movie that never existed?
Right. It's like their memories are so strong that they've created physical evidence.
That's both fascinating and terrifying.
It really makes you wonder about the nature of reality and how much of it is just our own perception.
Right, like what if we're all just creating our own realities?
It's a trippy thought.
Okay, so we've explored a lot of different explanations for the Mandela effect.
Yeah, we've gone from quantum physics to CERN to the simulation hypothesis.
And everything in between, and even though we don't have all the answers, I think we've learned a lot.
Definitely. It's been a wild ride.
It has. I mean, the Mandela effect is a huge mystery.
It is.
But it's also a testament to the power of the human mind.
Right.
Both its amazing abilities and its flaws.
And I think it's important to remember that as we go about our lives, to be critical thinkers and to question things.
Yeah, especially with so much information out there these days, it's easy to get caught up in misinformation.
Totally.
So as we try to make sense of this crazy world, maybe the best thing we can do is keep an open mind.
Right.
Question everything.
Absolutely.
And embrace the mystery because who knows, maybe one day we'll finally figure out what the Mandela effect is all about.
That would be amazing.
But for now, it remains a fascinating puzzle.
It really is.
One that makes us question everything we thought we knew about ourselves and the world around us.
Well said.
So keep those brains buzzing, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.